Welcome to Issues of the Moment. I am Eunice Johnson. Today we're discussing something I consider very interesting because, I'm a woman and it feels good to be a woman considering there's so many opportunities and these days women are maximizing them to the fullest. The issue of women development has not been given due attention, especially in developing countries, one like Nigeria. We have to applaud women who have taken it upon themselves to empower fellow women, especially those in rural areas with various skills. And that's what we're doing on this episode today. I have two women in the studio with me, and we'll be discussing lots and lots of things with regards to women empowerment and maybe generally the girl child. We might delve into children, but basically we're talking about women empowerment. On my left, I have Mrs. Margaret Udo. She I don't even know where to start from. She's the founder, Youth Reformation and Awareness Center, also the founder of Women of Great Minds. She's a child rights activist and a family therapist and also an author. Now you agree with me when I say there's so much about her. And she still told me there's more. There's actually more, but let's, leave it at this. You're welcome.
Thank you, Eunice.
Yeah, and on my right, I have Ambassador Awujola Kehinde. She's also a comrade, founder, Girls and Youth Reintegration Network, and also a director, Gender, Girl, Child Empowerment and Human Trafficking of the National Youth Council of Nigeria. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
So you see, I'm guided by two strong women, and you can only agree that it's going to be a jolly good ride. Now, let me start with you. What exactly is your NGO all about?
My NGO is about, I should call it empowerment in its own way, development. We work with experts in different areas of children development and help to bridge gaps of missing holistic information. So this make us to work with schools, homes, hospitals, anywhere you find children, to provide the necessary missing information that will make the child to be holistically developed. Due to that, we can't work with children without their parents and their teachers. So because of that, we provide also parental enhancement programs, teachers' workshops, and other things. And finally, we also write and publish books to sustain our teachings and our developmental work.
Okay, let's talk about the aspect of women empowerment, which is one of your key areas of specialization. I mean, being the founder of Women of Great Minds. Now, when you say women of great minds, do you mean that it only has to do with women who have crossed the borders of success, or you're talking about you making women into great minds?
There are two sides. Those women that have made it on the other side, and those that have a lot to acquire to be on that side. So it's getting together these two sets of women, and we have a lot of programs of sharing knowledge. We talk about so many things like financial development. It's a forum of lectures, interactions, and other things. That's the first thing we do. We want to empower the mind to think right, to have a good mindset before the physical empowerment.
Interesting. Now, Ambassador Awujola. Women empowerment. You're the founder of Girls and Youth and Reintegration Network. Why the focus on that area amidst many other? Yes, it's understandable you're on the female side of the gender divide, but why did you opt for that?
Well, Girls and Youth Integration Network is majorly for the girl child and youth in general. We chose to work on the girl child because some of the issues that is happening, especially in our country, Nigeria. We have discovered that most times the girl child have been relegated, and we need, not everybody can come out to speak for themselves, but they need an avenue for somebody to actually come out and speak for them. GREEN, which is Girls and Youth Education Network, is majorly for advocacies, reorientation programs, creating awareness, sensitize people, sensitize the girl child, how and ways to go about being protective of themselves, ways they have to go about so they can get themselves out of abuse. Even when they have to fall into those circumstances, what are the ways out? What are the challenges women and girls in general they face? We cannot shy away from the fact that in this country, women are not really given the sense of belonging. But gradually, we are moving up, and women are gradually given recognition. So we don't have to stay put at that position. We still have to continue to strive till we get to that level.
Okay, yes, striving till we get to that level. That's a good one. Now, what are the components when you talk about women empowerment? It's a good thing that we see that a lot of women, just like you rightly stated, are in power now, and maybe not just power, occupying different positions, credible positions. Now, what are the components of what you do that helps women, that contributes to helping women discover themselves?
We start from the girl child. Like this past week of the week we had the International Women's Day, we went to some girls' schools. We talked to the schools, the school girls. We've even adopted some girls to build their confidence. We interview them. Some of them tell us they want to grow up to be politicians. They want to be the first female president. So you start with the girl child, because even the UN has given a day for the girl child, the 11th of October of every year.
Outside International Women Day.
And then to make a woman accomplished, you need to give her education. Education is the foundation where every other thing is built and steps up from. So we give, as I told you, we give some lectures, because some people are educated, but even then, they still cannot set out to do what they want. So we ensure that those that are not educated will try to get themselves educated, to get the basic education, at least to read and write. Those that already know how to read and write should go further into the trends of the generation, which is the e-world that we are, imaginative world, helping people to think outside the box. So that even if you have the talents inside you, how do you bring out to develop yourself? So those are things we do, because if you are computer literate, you know that there are so many courses to improve your being.
Even online.
Yes. There are so many things you can do to improve yourself. So we help women so much in their mind development to get education, and then physically too. If we carry out programs that help women to acquire skills. Some are so simple, like beadwork.
Exactly, we're actually coming to skill acquisition.
All those small things, we help women to acquire the skills, at least to give them the confidence that they too can win bread. It's not only the man that wins bread. And like some of my books that I've written for women, I really talk about financial intelligence. It's very important that women should have it from the time they are being brought up. I teach parents. I have what I call parents forum. Both parents, but women respond more. You teach them that you don't bring up a child because he's a girl, should be relegated to the background, only doing house chores and all that, and then making the boy to sit down and do nothing. and thinking of how to make money.
And that orientation
Yes,
goes
so
up.
women have to be taught how to make money and how to get into the society. Thank God now we have them in the university as professors. In the political arena, we have them. Even in the government arena, we have them. We have deputy governors, we have governors, we have presidents in the world that are women. And we still have to work harder to have more.
Yeah, we both did that. Yes, okay. Now you are into this particular aspect now. You're the director, gender, girl, child empowerment, and human trafficking. Whoa. You know, the aspect of human trafficking which has been gaining momentum, especially, the returnees from Libya, most of which, of course, some are men equally, but then prevalent is the one that has to do with prostitution, and some of them even return with babies. What do you think is responsible for this? Do you think that if such women had gotten enough empowerment or education before whoever it is that came to them with the idea, they probably would have had a rethink?
Thank you. A lot of factors contributed to that situation. I think let me just talk about 2 to 3 factors. One is poverty. While we were able to interview some of the returnees, and from our survey, we discovered that most of them will even actually come out to tell you that if they actually traveled for a greener pasture, for them to have a better life, they felt Nigeria was not a place for them to be able to make it.
Excel.
And poverty, let's say, has made them sojourn on that journey, which they don't even know what they are going there to meet. Some just came with a juicy package and they fell into the trap. And I think another factor to that cause again is lack of education. Education might not probably mean you being in school or getting the knowledge, the normal basis of education. But education starts from even our different homes, how our parents, especially the mothers, have been able to inculcate 1 or 2 lessons into us. We have some children, though most of those people, we discover that some of them are even orphans. They have lacked that parental upbringing. So they fell into this kind of situations. And I think another factor that's contributed to this human trafficking is lack of contentment. I'm taking this point from our survey and from our interview with some of them. We discover that some people, especially the ladies that have gone into the prostitution, as I've said, have gone beyond, they want to live beyond their means. Because yes, in Nigeria, we have ladies that are even orphans, that's that's really educated, not gainfully employed, but they're doing 1 or 2 things to make ends meet for themselves, and they're living within what they are doing. But we discover that these ladies, probably some of them have lived on a kind of large life, and they could not longer continue because of, let's say, some of them said change era, that things were not flowing the way it's usually flow.
So they are looking for alternative.
So they went beyond and they traveled. So at the end of the day, I think they got there. It was not as rosy they expected. And it even got to the level that some of them had to be used for different things, some of them losing their lives on that journey. So they had to return back. But one that struck me while we were interviewing her was because when they came, NAPTIP really tried. They put some empowerment program in place, which the Directorate of Gender National Youth Council was carried along. Because presently we're still working with them. They put some program. Firstly was to reorientate them that yes, you are back to Nigeria. Have the mind and faith that you can actually make it in your country without going out into another country.
Which is the first thing that actually drives them.
So they have to work on their mentality first, had to change their orientation because a lot of garbage has been put in. So even as at that point, some of them still saying if they still have the opportunity, they will still go. So they had to work on that mentality, orientate them, give them the assurance that a lot of things can be done in Nigeria. Then from that level, they take them to empowering them. Because it's not only when you talk to them and make them realize that Nigeria is also a place you can make it. They have to move to the level of empowering them, teaching them one or two things they can do that can bring them a livelihood, different kind of skill acquisition. And I think that was going to be the third or fourth week. And while we were talking to some of them, she was like, if this had been in place, she as a person wouldn't have had a thought of traveling. So definitely, skill acquisition and empowerment has a long way to go in helping and curbing human trafficking. And it's not even only those that have traveled out are experiencing this human trafficking. We have, even within the country, even within our states, even within our families, we have parents that somebody will just leave Abuja, probably go to the village, promise the family, pick up the child. I will take care of this child when I get to Abuja. I will put her in school. And at the end of the day, you see that this girl comes and she becomes a slave. And you don't put her in. Like one that we just rescued from Maraba. We were called and we got there and we discovered that she actually picked this girl from Edo State, brought her to Abuja, promising the parents that she was going to be in the school. But she didn't. While the woman had her own kids.
And these are things we see in movies and you never expect that
Exactly.
they actually happen in reality.
Exactly.
We'll take a quick break and then when we return, we'll continue with the discussion. Stay with us. You're still on to issues of the moment, and I have two wonderful guests right here with me. We've been talking about women empowerment, also delving into some areas that has to do with children activism, which of course you're into. You're a child right activist. And if we talk about the returnees from Libya and all this, you see that it's not just only women that are involved. Even some children, some young people that you don't expect. They're also involved in a way or the other. What does your NGO do to address issues regarding trafficking?
We are registered with NAPTIP and the Human Rights Commission. So when we get certain information and when they report certain, like a woman that was found with triplets somewhere. They were not sure those were her children. So they reported
babies?
Yes, 3 babies, looking different age and all that. And she was trying to breastfeed them. I didn't see them not coming out.
Can you imagine?
So there are so many things that happen. So in such situations, we go to the right place because we are not empowered to go beyond a particular work. So we go to NACTIP. Sometimes when children are abandoned, like the time I was coordinating National Council of Child Rights Advocates of Nigeria for 7 years, I also, even till now, coordinate some orphanages. We ensure that we follow up the children that are being adopted, that are adopted out, to ensure at least for 8 years. And we have to see that the family can take care of those children. Like I've seen some children begging in the market once. And I got the phone number. I called the owner of the director of the orphanage. She said she had no money. I said it's wrong. Nobody forces you into a passion. If you cannot do something, then don't do it.
Or children from the orphanage sent into the streets to beg.
So I warned her, and she promised not to do it again. So I didn't take it further. The children were removed from there. So I see children sometimes walking on the streets, and those of us that have been trained, most of us, we pick them up. Sometimes you count the pure water in the basin. It's not up to 10. And sometimes I send for the person that the child lives with. and I take the person and ensure that I pay the school fee, we pay the school fees of children. In Nigerian, I ensure that the members adopted at least two vulnerable, the lowest was the least two vulnerable children, paid their school fee, made sure that they took care of them. We used to have Christmas party where we bring in those street children and make them to feel like human beings. So when you make the children to feel comfortable around their own country, they may not think of looking for greener pastures. Because Nigeria is even greener than most of these places that we go to. But as I told you, the mindset of our children must be put right. And that's what we actually do in our organization. We carry out talent discovery activities in schools. We go to public schools, government schools. We teach children how to study. Because in private schools, those things, some of them are taken care of. Because it's a public school and you have mainly house helps there, does not mean that those children don't have something in them. So we try to develop the quality in them to make them to come out and be useful. And we teach them talent discovery, as I said before, self-concept, self-confidence, and the rest of it, so that you don't just see yourself as an ordinary person. You see what is inside you. You see the greatness in you. You can reach beyond this table and know what you have there. That you can, in this same country, you can make it.
Okay, you talk about the idea of at least having two children vulnerable children that you try to sponsor in some sort of way. Apart from that, which means, of course, you're using money to sponsor these children, and then maybe other things that you're into. How do you get your funding?
We didn't have funding. That's what I'm saying. I said at least two children. The NGO is having issues in this country because we don't have funding. A lot of them have crashed because you have so much passion. You go out like the parent forum I used to have. Television stations used to come and cover them for me. Like AIT, they used to collect money from me. But at one time, I couldn't afford it again. So I had to stop. So that's what we are going through. You do what you can. But some organizations have funding. If you can put your records in place, your financial statements in place, know how to write your reports of your work and other things. But we need to develop the NGO sectors because people just jump into it. Most people are not enlightened. They just go in because they think
there's
if you don't have anything,
or
go and open an NGO.
Exactly.
It's not as simple as that. You don't just open there. It has an hierarchy of growth.
Yes.
You have to grow and have a status. Even we have status in African Union, AU status. We have ECOSOC. You have UN ECOSOC consultative status. So by the time you grow, you'll be involved in so many things. And then you can get funding. But most of them don't even have the money to register the organization with the right bodies like CAC or others. And some of them are not enlightened. They are not, when I'm talking about enlightened, it's not school per se, knowing what they want. So that's the aspect we have. And it is left for the government, though some international NGOs, international organizations like UNICEF, like EU Inside when it was still there, did a lot of training. Like some of us that had NGOs for quite some years, we were trained free. Sometimes they'll tell you, I remember, was it 2011, I was asked to come with 3 members of my NGO to this cafe. I went there. We were trained on so many things, proposal writing. So if you cannot write a winning proposal, you cannot win any grant. So that's like what I can tell you.
Okay, same goes for you. How do you get your funding?
Like she has said, that's one of the great
Challenges.
great challenge that NGO face. But the truth is that there are NGOs that get funding. And let me use mine for an example. We're still working on getting international donors, but we have individual philanthropists that have passion for this cause. That even before you open your mouth to tell them this is the project I am on, they already tell you their aim. It's not all about you just getting the money. I think, like she had said, one of the reasons why many NGOs have not been able to get international donors is the fact because it has been bastardized. We have people that actually went through the process of
Abused.
registering the NGO and they get get grants, but they don't actually use the money for what was given to them. So it has really cut off the opportunity of other NGOs that really mean what they are doing. So basically, for my own NGO, which is Girls and Youth Integration Network, because we work in collaboration with the Directorate of Gender of the National Youth Council, we have individual philanthropists that have interest in the girl child, they have soft spot for women, young females, that they want to help them grow, let them discover themselves, and let them be self-reliant. So we meet them, talk about the projects to them, like one of the projects we are on now, which is Leave Our Daughters Alone. We're able to look at all the challenges that are facing the girl child. We're talking about the serial adoption, serial kidnapping, female genital mutilation and circumcision, early marriages of the girl child, rape, and all of those things that surrounds the girl child. So we were able to come up with that thing. Actually, it was on the day of the International Women's Day at the Women Development Center. The wife of the president, Her Excellency Mrs. Aisha Buhari, launched this campaign, Leave Our Daughters Alone. My organization and the National Youth Council Directorate of Gender, we actually came together, sat, and we bite into this cause, and we made up our mind. Since the organization is basically for awareness, sensitization, and advocacy, we look it upon ourselves that we are going to domesticate this theme in all the socio-geopolitical zones, changing this word into the different languages that every woman in Nigeria could understand. If you are a Yoruba woman, you could understand when we translate that word, Leave Our Daughters Alone. If you're an Hausa woman, if you're an Ibera person, at least let that word be on the lips of every woman. And so as we are doing that, we are also enlightening the mothers, which are the women, the ways and things they can do to give their children the kind of level of protection. Even in schools, we go to school, we sensitize them. Neighborhood watch, keep an eye on your child. To avoid abuse, there are little things, code, signals that you can give to your daughters when they know that they are close to this kind of things. You don't just leave a growing child to herself. Like I had one of my sister's daughters, when a man just pick her up, probably put her on her leg, she knows that it's a no-go area. She tells you, yes, I can sit on my own. Sure, you understand? Those kind of little things, upbringing and codes you give to them, for them to send a message to the parent that I am not secured. So that's one of the things we've been able to do.
Okay, what's your criteria? What are those criteria for choosing those who you empower or those who you feel are befitting for whatever your sensitization?
The truth is, we don't really have a criteria. We have to be factual of that, because even when we move out of this place now, you can actually meet vulnerable and different kind of people outside. But the thing is that when you go close to a child, when you see on the street, you ask some questions, you definitely know that this child does not even have a place to go to. Yes, because like the child I talked about in
What
Maraba,
did you say?
Needs help.
Okay,
needs help.
Okay.
Like the child I talked to in Maraba, I didn't actually meet her, but it was a neighbor. We have our contacts online, and the person got in contact with me. It was even on a Saturday in the evening, and said she could no longer bear the pain of this child, and she needed somebody that could be of help. For my own organization and the director, we have a limit that she has said that we can go to. We can actually go there and pick up the child because we are not related, but we know the next level to go to. I was able to contact the head of rapid response of NATI, we discussed, and we agreed to meet very early in that Sunday morning. They gave us an address, and we were able to pick up that child from the family, and we took her to the shelter. Then we moved to the next level of contacting the parents, which are in Edo State. Let them come. We also called on these parents. We checked them to court for you to know the level that.
So that means you actually come to the rescue.
You come to the rescue.
It might not be pre-planned, but somehow you just come across those people.
Exactly.
And you know
Get
exactly
them
what
through
to do.
information and get them through contacts.
Yes, she mentioned that somehow along the line, if it has to do with trafficking, you reach out to NAPTIP, and you have equally mentioned that, and maybe every other relevant agency that has to do with it. Quite.
This one in area 10, social welfare.
Social welfare.
Social welfare.
You take orphans there, they will know where to.
What's next to
Yes, because there are shelters for them.
Man, you would agree that this is you have to have a selfless mindset first of all to be able to do what these two women are doing, and it is quite interesting to know that we have people like this. Mrs. Margaret Udo, founder Youth Reformation and Awareness Center, and also founder Women of Great Minds. She's a child rights activist, author, and she is just passionate about seeing to the growth of women. Likewise, Comrade Awujola Kehinde, she also is the founder of Girls and Youth Reintegration Network. They are just into empowering women and making sure that life becomes better for women in Nigeria. Thank you very much for being part of Issues of the Moment. We do hope that you enjoyed every bit of it. I remain your host, Eunice Johnson. Join us again some other time. For now, we say bye.